And welcome back to Box Office Report. Today, on the 27th of October, 2024. Not surprisingly, Venom: The Last Dance debuts at number 1 with $51 million. Smile 2 makes another $9.4 million in week 2 for a number 2 spot. The Wild Robot still hanging out in the top 5. Number 3 spot, $3.5 million. Conclave made $3.5 million. My guess is when they factor the estimates in, they're thinking the actuals are going to come out the Wild Robot over Conclave. And We Live in Time made another $4.8 million. Obviously, the big one to talk about this week is Venom: Last Dance, which debuted with $51 million, which is a lot less than what even the predictions initially were coming. The initial predictions, I believe, were like 60 to 70. This thing came in well under. And unfortunately, the reviews kind of illustrate why. Now, real quick, where does the Rotten Tomatoes currently stand? Let's find out here. If the Rotten Tomatoes decides to load up at all. Last I checked, it was like a little higher than the original Venom at 33, around 37. Let's see where we currently are standing as of right now. Let's see here. Now in theaters, 36. It's gone down, but the audience score went up about 2%. So there's that. That being said, that's not good. Now, let's talk about the bad here first, because there is avenues to good for those of us who did enjoy the movie and hope that we can see more of like Null and all those characters. The bad. That's if you came in under your expected or predicted amount by that much, then you've got a bit of a problem. The film, while I enjoyed it, it is the weakest of the three, in my opinion. There's a lot of problems to it. There's structure issues, there's character issues. I still overall enjoyed it, but I won't stick my head in the sand when there's something wrong there. So, here we go. I'm breathing and I'm talking too quick, and therefore I'm breathing through my mouth, and so I have to like kind of take a breath. So 51, not good. It also tells us that it might not have the best legs, at least domestically. Domestically, I think this film's not going to do the best. And I can't really blame it. Now, am I saying it's going to drop 70% next week? Well, I didn't think some films were going to drop that big, but Joker 2 dropped that big, actually bigger. And so, now I think this is probably a better film than Joker 2 by a solid mile, to be honest. But that doesn't mean it won't take a big drop. 60-some-odd% next week is not infeasible to think. So you would only be looking at, say, like 20-ish million next week if you're lucky. But for those of us who did enjoy the film and want more, again, more Null, all that, hopefully, I am hoping Null's probably going to actually cross over to the MCU. Because, man, you do not want to waste Null. Null is so cool of a villain. The good news actually is this. And there's actually quite a bit of good news to follow here, believe it or not. There is a surprising ray of hope here, a relatively decent one. One, the film, and this is the big thing, the film is relatively, by comic book standards, inexpensive. It's $120 million. Now, my best guess would be about $80 million in marketing, so average it out $200 million. So the film, roughly speaking, needs to hit about $300 million to do that. Now, worldwide, it stands at $175. Which means it's well over halfway to that. I mentioned this in my review, but the Sony Marvel film is called, the Sony Spider-Man films, have at least been smart enough to keep the budgets relatively low, all things considered. Morbius was 75, Madam Web was 100, original Venom was 100, Venom Let There Be Carnage was 110, this was 120. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if, because of just like what you get for pay increases for just doing sequels in your contract, if most of that, if not all of that, was just Tom Hardy's paycheck. So they have at least learned to master doing a lot with minimal like effort, which is good. So the fact that it's a relatively low budget, and the fact that they're also banking, by the way, let's see here. Domestic release, title summary. What's the international? Where is, I guess it's more, let's go original release. China. Right now, they're expecting a big Chinese market to really come in here. But so that's kind of what they're hoping for. That they're going to make a lot of money from China on this. At least that's what I've heard. So at 175 million, this one's actually not far away from breaking even. If it makes 300, it breaks even. If this film can do at least 400 plus million, then that's big enough of a win for them to continue doing whatever their plans are with this universe. And hopefully, fingers crossed, Kraven looks as good as the trailer does. So, now granted, the Venom trailer looked pretty fun. Now, granted, it was also kind of wacky, whereas the Kraven trailer is taking itself a lot more seriously. So, balance that out. But hopefully, Kraven is able to pull something together. I do not see this being a $1 billion film. I will say this: if it can make the previous film's money, around 500 million, that's a win. That's a freaking win. You take that and you can keep going. Now, with that being said, Venom also has one other really big advantage coming up, and that is the lack of competition. If we look at the, let's see here, more. Okay, there we go. I want more. But if we look at the upcoming release schedule, and let's do it for November here, because that's what we're really looking at. We got this coming week where the Y releases are Lost on a Mountain in Maine based off of some book. And you have Hit Pig, which is some animated thing that I've never heard of. And beyond that, there's nothing else mainstream. So it's got no competition next week. None. Well, let's go into the next mainstream release week, which would be the 8th. You do have The Heretic. You have Best Christmas Pageant Ever. And you have something called Elevation, which I just saw a trailer for. I'm like, it's kind of Edge of Tomorrow, Quiet Places-ish. And Overlord, The Sacred Kingdom. I'm going to be honest. While it may not be number 1 by week 3, because Heretic could make double digits, nothing here challenges it. Like, again, nothing is competing with it in terms of its demographic. So then we go ahead to the 15th. Red One here, the Tom Hanks film. Again, the Red One will be number 1 that week, but there's nothing taking away from Venom. Like, it's not really a competition for Venom. It's not competing for the same type of audience as Venom is. Then you get The World According to Ali Willis. Don't know what that is. Then you get finally Gladiator 2 and Wicked. That's when whatever momentum this is going to have is going to end. That's the end of it. So this film actually has 2 to 3 weeks of really having no solid competition. Similar to what the Wild Robot's kind of been doing. We'll talk about Wild Robot in a little bit. But similar to what that's been doing, it's surprisingly got an avenue towards not just getting its money back, but making a decent profit. Now, you can make the argument. There was someone in my review kind of talking about how they thought this was going to redeem the Sonyverse, and they just hope Kraven's going to redeem it. I would say this to you if you're watching this. I want these films to be good too, but don't go into a movie expecting it to redeem a franchise. That's way too high of an expectation. You cannot, because all you're doing is setting yourself up for disappointment. You have to put expectation at the door when you go to a movie, because otherwise it is just never going to work out for you ever, period. And I'm not saying that to be mean or anything. I'm just saying that's facts, man. Like, if you're going in with these super high expectations, it's just not going to end well. So, like I said, I had good time with it. I recognize, though, how people cannot like it. Absolutely. There are things I didn't like about it. But overall, we're just going to have to wait and see where this film ultimately is going to land. It's on a good trajectory right now. We're going to have to see if the foreign can because that's where it's going to win. That is absolutely where it's going to make its money back, is the foreign numbers. Because it's already done that. It's made far more in the foreign markets, made twice as more foreign than domestic. So we're just going to have to wait and see if that is going to be the win or not. Meanwhile, Smile 2 made another $9.4 million. Now, this is kind of telling. Now, the new Smile is made on $28 million. While I haven't found the marketing budget right now, I would estimate that we're looking at a film that's probably got 20 to 30 million. I'd probably go so far as to say 30 million in marketing. That, I think, is fair to do. A lot of it's luckily this movie, like the original, also does a lot of viral stuff marketing too. It had 2 different solid trailers to it, so my guess is 20 to 30 is a reasonable number. So against a $28 million budget, you're looking at a film that's basically needs to make about $90 million to break even. So at $83 million, this film is doing pretty well, right? Well, yes, actually, it's probably going to make its money back without too much difficulty. But the catch-22 here is just in week 2, it dropped nearly 60%. This tells us, and it opened pretty much the same amount as the original did. This tells us a couple things. One, while people loved the first movie, they loved it. It made a bank. It wasn't a movie, I think, people were clamoring for a sequel for. And so when the sequel came and we kept seeing the same trailer a bit, I was like, smile, I have a feeling that audience interest wasn't low, but it was, based on the numbers, about the same as it was the last time. Like, okay, this is interesting. Are we doing anything different? Apparently some minor different things, but mostly the same things, kind of. Which is kind of a problem with this franchise concept where, how do you do something different? So it's unfortunate. But I mean, the good news is it's going to probably make its money back as of next week. Got Halloween coming up, so that's going to help it out a bit. It's just that it seems that its fan base is nowhere near as rabid as it was the previous film. And I think it's just because we've moved on, other things have happened, other movies have come out, the climate has changed for moviegoings and all that in our society a little bit. So, The Wild Robot made $6.5 million, dropping only 30-some-odd percent. $232 million. Now the international numbers are really starting to come in, which is good. And this film made its money back last week. Now it's fully in the profit, which is fantastic. This is a wonderful film. I would not go so far as to say it is the best animated film of the year. That I still believe goes to Inside Out 2. But I do think it's right up there. It's probably the second best. But I've had several animated films this year, so when I do my ranking at the end of the year, I'll have to really think about that. But good for it. Like I said, along with Venom not having any obstacles this week, this film is not having any competition for its genre, animated family film, until Moana, of all things. Technically, Wicked could qualify, at least in terms of some the demographic, but we're really looking at the animated spectrum. Moana is the thing that will dethrone it as the top animated film currently out. Definitely, because that film is probably going to be like $100+ million opening. But good for The Wild Robot. It shows that, A, when there's not much out that for kids, you're going to keep taking kids back to it. B, when you're quality, you're quality. And C, you know what? I don't think I had a C there, to be honest. I have A and B. That's all you had. Conclave debuts at $6.5 million. Honestly, that's about where I thought it would be. I guess, I don't know why I didn't think it'd be in the top 5, but good for Conclave. I am interested in seeing it, absolutely, if I can get a chance to get out and see it. We Live in Time. I am surprised. Actually, I am very surprised, because it didn't just, you know what? That's why it stayed in the top 5, because they gave it almost 2,000 more screens. Yeah, you give a film 2,000 more screens after its debut weekend, of course it's going to stay in the top 5. But hey, it actually went up quite a bit, so good for it. I don't know if it's going to be, any game changer financially, but good for them. Terrifier 3 and our $4.7 million. Good for Terrifier 3. It's at $55 million against a $2.5 million budget. No, it was a $2 million budget and a $500,000 marketing budget, which means once the film had made $4 million, it was profitable. This film is like ridiculously successful. This is probably one of the most profitable, if we're looking at a percentage standpoint, films of the year. Because if you take the standard third the theater cut gets, which is the average third anyway, I should say, which is, I'm doing the math real quick in my head, about 18 million. You do the math, that's 37 million, subtract 2.5. This film made $34.5 million, which is, roughly speaking, about almost... let's see here. It's about 150 times its budget, and it's still making money. So, hey, look, man, when you can get creative and you got a fan base and you get interest in a property, you can make some money back, definitely. Then we get to Beetlejuice, still kicking around, 3.3 million, 438 million. I don't think it's, like I said, I don't think it's going to hit 450. It is pretty much done its actual run. The only thing that's been keeping it, okay, that's not fair. Not the only thing. It's a fun movie. I think a lot of people are enjoying that. A lot of people like Tim Burton, the Tim Burton energy, and like this just character in all this world and all that. I do think it was a fun movie. Not everyone agreed, but that's fine. But I think the thing that really kept it hanging in there is the fact that Halloween was rolling around and people were like, yeah, let's go watch it, double feature, all that. So I mean, watch the original. The original was on earlier today, actually. Me and my dad were watching it. Anora. So yeah, that's, I think, what's really been keeping it safe. It's going to have one more really solid week. I mean, it's going to be dropping down to 2 point something next week, but still, maybe even go up a little because of Halloween. But overall, that's all going to be all she wrote. Anora, 860 grand. This is kind of not a Cinderella story, but it's interesting to say the least. Like a sex worker marries a kid who's the son of an oligarch, and like trying to stop the marriage and all that. Man, Piece by Piece, like that was a movie that just came and went that no one knew about. Transformers 1, a movie that people knew about and just didn't go out to see. 124 million. It still didn't make its money back, not even close, which really sucks. It was a good movie. Most people agreed it was a good movie. The substance, you want to talk about a big boost? The substance got a boost, baby. Then you got Joker Filet Adieu. Man, hey, cross 200. You didn't even make your production budget back. Come on, guys, you didn't even make that back. You would have had to make 300 million just to make the production budget back, not including the marketing budget, which makes this a huge financial loss for WB this year. Now, luckily, they still got a couple big hits coming out. Wicked. Are they the ones doing Nosferatu? I can't remember, but I think they got one coming out in December also. Anything else? Saturday, not a little over half a million. Saturday Night kind of came and went under the radar a little bit, but it was a good movie. I liked it a lot. Your Monster. What the hell is that? I saw the trailer for that. It's kind of a take on Beauty and the Beast a little bit. So yeah, that's kind of cute. Otherwise, like everything else is very minor. Hey, Nightmare for Christmas made another 500 some odd grand. Hocus Pocus re-release really didn't. It apparently. Hocus Pocus got a re-release last week. Never mind. But still not overly loved. Good, man. You want to talk about a film that just showed up and disappeared? Goodrich. I liked Goodrich. I mean, it wasn't anything amazing, but it was a good little movie. Speak No Evil, 180. And it made its money back, luckily. Deadpool and Wolverine is now guaranteed done its run. It's got another 300 screens left. It just lost over $1,000 worth of screens. So yeah, that's pretty much done. Everything else is pretty done. So which now begs the final question of what is the box office going to look like next week? So just to recap, the movies coming out this week are Lost in the Mountains of Maine and Hit Pig. Neither of these are going to be making double digits because I don't think the majority of the movie going public either has an interest or knows about these films are coming out. These films probably aren't even going to debut with much over 5 million, to be honest. The ironic thing, though, about me saying that means they can still be in the top 5, just based on what the top 5 looks like right now. Hell, the fifth spot is 4.8. So, Venom, I think it's safe to say that Venom: The Last Dance will be number 1. Even if it drops 70% next week, it's going to be in the double digits. Now, I don't think it drops 70, but I don't think it drops 50 either. Even with no competition, I think it's still, unfortunately, going to take a relatively large drop. Let me put it this way. If this film can manage a 55 to 60% drop, that will be not bad at all. That, frankly, will not be bad at all. If this film could magically maintain a 50% drop, I would be amazed. But it's only a 79, which is a good audience score, but 79% Rotten Tomatoes, meaning only 70%, meaning the 79% of the audience like it. I don't know. I'm sure you're going to get the people who do the repeat viewings. Absolutely. You always do. But in almost any film. But still, it will be number 1 next week. Oh, honest, look, no joke. Legitimately, if that no, now we do have a Halloween though coming this month, this week, so that's going to be the kind of wild card issue for, and it's the weekend of Halloween, so uh, I'm going to be on it. I'm going to be straight out honest with you guys right now, right here, right now, man to audience. Wild Robot might actually be number 1 next, or number 2 next week. If it drops something similar to this, which it very well might, let's just do 35. Let's just say 35 at the moment here. That means you're looking at a film that draws, roughly speaking, about 2 million next week. That puts it at 4. If Smile 2 has another drop off, even close to this, like 50% ish, Smile 2 would be barely making it to the number 2 spot. Now, that's assuming these kind of numbers hold for next week, but with Halloween and everything, okay, I'll go Venom: The Last Dance. I'll go Smile 2. I'm going to be honest. I say 5 million for those new ones coming out. I don't even think that they're going to do that. I'm welcome to be wrong on that, by the way. Absolutely, I am. Conclave also might get more screens next week. I just realized that, too. So, Smile 2. I'll go Conclave? Then what? Well, no. I'll go Wild Robot, because I can't guarantee it's getting more screens, but I think it's going to get more screens. Then I'll go Conclave. And then Terrifier 3? Yeah, this is going to be a weird effing weekend, folks. So yeah, just to recap, I guess I'm going to go Venom: The Last Dance. I will go Smile 2. I think I'll go Wild Robot, Conclave, and Terrifier 3. What do you got for the predictions next week and why? Let me know in the comments below. But until then, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. I'll see you next time.